Amanda. You're watching Booked with Amanda, and I'm here to talk books with you. This is my week one update for the Magical Readathon OWLS edition. This week I read 3 books. I'm also going to kind of count this as a wrap-up of these books, and then maybe at the end of the month I'll just do kind of a quick little stats video. That way I can actually talk a little bit about these, and there's only 3, so this video is not going to be super long like my wrap-ups tend to get with number of books I read per month. So, starting off, we have Do Not Become Alarmed by Mealy Malloy. This is the herbology with the plant on the cover. This book is about 3 families. 2 of them know each other prior to this cruise that they go on, and then they meet the 3rd family on the boat. And basically, they decide to go on an outing to a Central American country that's not specified. And the kids go missing. And then chaos ensues. Everything that could go wrong basically goes wrong. And maybe a little stereotypical. Of what happens. I mean, the kids disappearing is something that was kind of a freak accident. And then what happens to them after is kind of basically, what happens in the Mexican, Central American, South American countries? Oh, this is definitely what would happen to these children. You know what I mean? I did not like this. I gave it a 2-star. It was all right. It kept me engaged, but it was just too fast, not enough development. I felt no emotions for these children really, except for one part with the oldest girl. I felt just disgusted and horrified, but the rest of it, I thought that some of the older children made dumb mistakes that are not realistic. I mean, kids aren't the brightest sometimes in regards to survival skills, but I feel like they could have probably, or she could have probably been a little smarter. Not basically that every decision the kid makes is the wrong decision, especially when originally they were smart about it. And then they decided to change she changed the character to make basically a conflict, which I hate. I hate that. Stick to your character. This is your character. Do it. Continue on. Don't make her or him all of a sudden change because you want it to fit this mold. You decide, okay, I want this to happen, but this can only happen if this person is now stupid. Ruth Ware, I'm talking to you. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. She does the same thing. But anyway, so yeah, it was all right. Meh. I mean, I had to read it for the book club for my library. I don't have to, but I do like to participate in every book club. I think it's important, and it gives me somewhere to complain. Because I feel like every book we've read this year, except for one, has been just infuriating in some way. So anyway, that I do not recommend. I just don't. I don't think it was good. The kids were missing by page like 49 or 50. And then it was just not good. So anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that. I do have a little bit of a review on Goodreads if you want to check that out. I'll link my account below. Next, I read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is basically, I'll read the back. Under the influence of their charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at an elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from the humdrum existence of their contemporaries. But when they go beyond the boundaries of normal morality, they slip gradually from obsession to corruption and betrayal, and at last inexorably into evil. This book was messed up. If you have read this and you like this, please comment below why. I did not understand. I mean, the writing itself is beautiful and lyrical and poetic, and it just is a pleasure to read in lots of aspects. But otherwise, this is not a good book. This makes it sound, this actually kind of makes it sound a little bit like How to Get Away with Murder, the TV show, if you know what that's about. Um, I don't even know why they would mention the professor. He's not even really an important character in this book, I think. It sets it up for him to be, but he's really not in the end. And every single character is so unlikable. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy an unlikable character just the same as the next person. But I feel like when you have unlikable characters, you need to have at least one person that has some kind of redeemable trait, something that you as a reader can empathize with, or you as a reader can, just kind of see yourself in their shoes, thinking maybe I would choose that. I would maybe do that too. No, none of them. None of the protagonist is not the worst of the characters, but I still think he's an idiot. I couldn't stand anybody. And just like these poor little rich kids, this book wants you to feel bad for them because they did something stupid and screwed up. And then they had to do something else stupid to fix the original stupid mistake. That didn't fix it. And then one of the people at the end makes this crazy decision. And you're just like, what is going on? This is just the worst of the 1% in America. Honestly, like, I don't even... I made it through. I have to read this for my Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, so I made it through. But I felt like I wanted to just take them all and throw them off a bridge. Like, I was just so angry at them. It didn't make any sense to me. None of it made sense to me. And then Donna Tartt puts in this epilogue at the end, which was, I understand, supposed to neatly tie everything together. But this book was such a shit show that honestly, it makes no sense to put that epilogue in there. It would have been better just to end it before the epilogue and left it open a little bit. That would fit the rest of this book. But then you're thinking, I don't know, she's thinking, I gotta have a beginning, middle, and an end, so I'm gonna make an epilogue just to end everything for you. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's a big writer. This book was definitely dated in a sense that you have your like homophobic comments, you've got just so many politically incorrect things in this book. It is written in the early 90s, released in the early 90s. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense for the time, but also it just makes you hate them even more. And then, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it because I think like maybe you should check it out for yourself. Maybe then you can talk to me about how much you don't like it. And honestly, if you like it, please explain it to me. I am super open-minded and I would love to hear why you find this book amazing. Because for me, the writing was amazing. Sometimes repetitive, but mostly amazing. The story was terrible. So if you're going to come at me and tell me the writing's amazing, that's why it's a good book. No, writing does not just make a book, right? You got to have a story too. It's a combination of writing and story. If you can't have it both ways, then it's not going to be good in my opinion. So, last, I decided that I'm going to count this as my adult read. Sorry. For my OWLS, because it was a hefty book. This is, over 500 pages, and friggin' I worked really hard to get through it. So I'm counting that as my adult book. I changed my mind. I tend to do that if you didn't know already. So last but not least, we have The Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. I finished this last night. I haven't even put it on my Goodreads that I finished it yet as I'm filming this. So this is hard to give a synopsis, and I think that's why I was confused about what it was about, but it's hard to give a synopsis without giving away the whole story. But basically, a teenager gets sent to her grandparents after her mother dies, and she spends the summer with her cousin. After the summer's over, she runs away. She leaves them. She's not back there for 10 years or 11 years. Until one night she gets a call from her grandfather that her cousin's missing, and then he needs her to come back, and she really does not want to go back, but she loves her cousin, so she decides to go back to the Roanoke property, and it's just not good. I gave this one a 2-star. I'm gonna give this one a 2-star or a 1-star maybe. I haven't decided. That's why I haven't put it as finished on my Goodreads yet. It is one big trigger warning. This entire book. I can't tell you though what it is, or I will spoil the entire book for you. This book was said to be what does it say? It's a thriller suspense. I had this figured out like 50 pages in. The whole thing. The entire book. I knew what was going on with everything. I knew who or why the girl went missing. I knew everything. I knew everything already. The foreshadowing was so blunt. There was no tiptoeing around it. It was just bam, 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 bam. Okay, now you have all your tools, 50 pages in, to figure out the story. Done. I read it because I needed this for my OWLS. And I needed it for potions, I believe it is. Or no, Defense Against the Dark Arts, which is one of my requirements for Hogwarts Professor. Otherwise, I would have just DNF'd this. I hated it so much. I think it's probably going to end up being a 1-star. It was disgusting. I'm surprised this is written by a woman, to be honest. The subject matter is gross, but beyond that, I feel like every 10 pages is talking about boobs and like sexualities, and there's all these sex scenes, and they're not detailed, thankfully. And she doesn't go that one step further to make the subject matter like completely laid out for us, but it was just poorly written. It's honestly hard to review this without spoiling it, because the minute I tell you something about this book, you have like a quarter of it figured out. Honestly, you need 4 things to figure out this book, basically. And I mean, if you want to read this, I don't want to ruin it for you. But yeah, nothing shocked me in this book in a sense of a thriller, but the subject matter did shock me, especially being written by a woman. And I don't know. I feel like this book was poorly thought out. And I feel like she had this idea and she thought, this is really going to sell a book because this is really something that is going to shock people. It's not something that is always written about, although it is a common theme in the Roanoke Girls and the Secret History a little bit. So what is wrong with me? I don't know. But I didn't know. I didn't know what the Roanoke Girls were about. If you read my TBR, you will see that I thought it was about sexual assault, but it is not. Um, anyway, it's like I said, this is really vague and like I'm really bad at this, but I don't want to ruin it because if you want to read it, go for it. I would not recommend this book to anybody, though. I'm not gonna lie. It's not just the subject matter. I'm okay with taboo subjects, but it was the writing was not good. There was, I mean, the character development was not good. It was just like, this person is this way. This is how they are. And then, yeah, okay, well, this happened to them as a child. So this is why they are the way they are. But I felt no growth. I felt, except for like maybe one character, I thought, okay, like, cool, he's redeeming himself a little bit. But nah, don't pick it up. Oh, so anyway, April's been a terrible reading month so far, and it was bound to happen. Like I'm gonna have a little real talk with you here. It was bound to happen. I had an amazing 3 months where most of my books were like 4 and 5 stars. Um, I didn't read anything terrible really. There was a couple, but versus how much I actually read, which was like over 50 books. I mean, I didn't have a lot of 2 stars or 3 stars even. Uh, and now I have nothing over three. I have 1 star and 2 star books that I've read so far. I'm not sure what I'm going to read next. I think I might read Alice next. I haven't 100% decided, but I have to start something today because I want to make sure I get those 12 books read by the end of the month. So I think I might do Alice, and that would be for, I think, Ruins it was, a retelling. But I'll be back next week to give you an update of how I'm doing with my owls. And I would love to hear from you guys if you're participating in the Magical Readathon, what you've read so far. And if you have any TBR videos, just let me know and I would love to go watch them because maybe I'll get some ideas for my newts coming up in August. So, anyway, thanks for watching everybody. Subscribe and I will see you all again soon. Bye.